Okay, next up we have Alex Dorsch, MD of Chalice Gold Mines. Alex was appointed Managing Director of Chalice in November 2018, having joined the company in late 2017. Alex has led the company through an exceptional recent growth period and was recognised as the new and emerging leader of the year this year in the Mining News Awards. Alex has a diverse experience in a variety of leadership roles across the resource sector as a management consultant, engineer, project manager and corporate advisor. Prior to joining Chalice, he worked as a specialist consultant with the global management consultancy McKinsey. Please welcome Alex.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's great to be here presenting for the first time at Diggers and Dealers, and it's even better to see the industry in such fine shape. So it gives me great pleasure to address you this afternoon. And the topic of conversation is our globally significant new discovery right here in Western Australia. Our usual forward-looking statements and disclosures, these are available to read on our website. So Chalice is a unique exploration specialist, now becoming quite famous with our recent globally significant discovery. So it is a new high-grade PGE nickel, copper, cobalt discovery just outside of Perth. It's Australia's first major palladium discovery, quite an achievement. It's also got a suite of very critical minerals required for our clean energy future. And it's the rare combination of a completely new mineral province and the first discovery in a completely new mineral province. We also have an unrivaled portfolio of other opportunities around Australia. We're one of the most active greenfields explorers in Australia. We have 7 rigs currently drilling across 3 projects, which is quite incredible for a company which just 12 months ago was about 50 million market capitalisation. We have very large land holdings across Australia. We're well funded. We've got a very motivated, high-performance team at the helm with an exceptional track record and now obviously a proven ability to discover and define, assets of significance for the industry. And we're well capitalised with over $50 million in cash and investments. Our portfolio includes this exciting new discovery, obviously here in the new West Yilgarn nickel copper PGE province. It's a new greenfield discovery made just in March of this year. Our first discovery hole, which was the very first hole drilled on the property, was 19 metres at very high-grade palladium and very high-grade nickel, copper, cobalt. Quite a spectacular intersection and quite a shallow one at that. It's 100% owned. The project covers a 26-kilometre long intrusive complex that was almost entirely unexplored before we started drilling. We have 4 rigs on that property, shortly to be 5, and we're aiming for a maiden resource there in the middle of next year. The other 2 properties don't catch too much of a mention anymore, given the profile of Julimar, but we're still very much excited by our very large holding in the goldfields of Victoria. We've got over 5,000 square kilometres there in the northern part of the Bendigo zone. We have 2 diamond drill rigs drilling away there at the moment. And we're very excited by the scale, particularly of those targets there in Victoria. We've also got an RC rig drilling in the West Kimberley at our Hawkstone nickel copper cobalt project. This again, the common theme of our projects is typically we're the first ones to drill holes. So we're in a very exciting area there, a frontier province, essentially right next door to a fairly recent discovery. In terms of the corporation, we have a tight capital structure and a very strong financial position. You can see our major shareholders there on the left-hand side of the page, our board of directors and key management there as well. We have about 308 million shares on issue, so very tight structure. We recently, just yesterday, cracked $1 billion in market cap. And as you can see there, that on the bottom right-hand side of this page, it's been a tremendous year for Chalice against a very challenging backdrop for a big part of the planet. And yeah, we've been one of the few real success stories. And I think it's you can see there in March of this year, we were trading around 13 cents a share, and to hit an all-time high of $3.51 yesterday was quite amazing, and really perhaps reminds the industry just how fruitful major new greenfield discoveries can be. So this is the Julimar project. We're located just 70 kilometres northeast of Perth. Would you believe an unrecognised intrusive complex that close to Perth? You can see on the left-hand side there's a magnetic image there. The regional magnetics show that there's this 26 kilometre long magnetic feature which is inside our granted tenure there in the blue. And it looks to be a layered ultramafic intrusive complex that we're essentially the discoverers of. And we staked this in 2018, so it was vacant land only a couple of years ago. We've done all of our work on private land thus far at the very southern end of that 26 kilometre feature, as what's called the Gonville intrusion. And as I said, we made a first hole discovery there in March of this year. We've now gone and applied for about 8,000 square kilometres of licence holding over about 1,000 kilometre stretch of this western part of the Yilgarn Craton. So we're very much utilising that competitive advantage we have to make additional discoveries. And that speaks to the character of the company as we're hungry for more discoveries. So Gonville is already an exceptional new high-grade discovery with the potential to deliver a truly world-class deposit. The map on the left-hand side there just gives you an outline of about 100 or so holes we've drilled since March. The intrusion itself is about 1.6 kilometres in length, about 800 metres wide, but very much open to the northwest, going off the top left-hand side of the page. It's got a series of high-grade mineralisation styles, at least 5 high-grade zones being defined to date. As well, on the eastern part of the intrusion, we've just recently announced about a week ago some new zones of mineralisation there, over about 1.2 kilometres of strike length along the eastern contact of the intrusion. And surrounding that high-grade mineralisation, we have widespread disseminated sulphide mineralisation, which carries quite low-grade PGEs, but a significant quantity of that sort of style of mineralisation. We've proven that mineralisation extends now to 650 metres below surface, so this is a very, very large intrusion. As well, sitting on top of the intrusion, on top of fresh rock, there's about a 25-metre thick oxide zone, which carries elevated precious metals, PGEs and gold. We've done a little bit of metallurgical test work thus far. We are progressing more test work concurrently with the drilling, but we have seen no deleterious elements to date in the test work, and it appears that everything in all processing avenues we have available to us will be conventional, so an encouraging start. As I said, we have 4 rigs operating on this project at the moment. I'll now give you a bit of an overview of each of the high-grade mineralised zones we've intersected to date. So this is looking down on the intrusion towards the northeast. So you're looking down from an elevated position. You can see there 550 metres of strike length is being defined to date in those red wireframes there in the centre of the page. You can see on the right-hand side of the page just the tenor of these intercepts. Quite spectacular, 33 metres at 6.5 grams palladium, 1.6% nickel from 44 metres, 45 metres at 2.9 grams palladium, 0.8 grams platinum, 0.4% nickel, 0.3% copper. It's got a bit of something for everyone, this deposit. These zones remain open. You can see quite clearly there towards the north, south and down dip, these zones remain wide open. Looking at a section of those zones, you can see 4 stacked zones of mineralisation there, all very wide, one sitting on top of one another. They're internal to the intrusion and have about 340 metres of dip extent. As you can see again, to the left-hand side of the page, we have not closed off anything yet, and they're very much open, each one of those at depth, and some of the core. We do have some core available at our booth to come see. It's quite spectacular looking stuff. You can see a recent intersection down there on the bottom left-hand side of the page with 45 metres with 3 internal higher grade intervals within there. The G4 zone, this is a relatively new development along the contact position of the intrusion, so on the margins where the intrusive rocks hit the country rocks. We've got several wide PGE copper intervals along about a 1.2 kilometre strike length. And the G4 zone, again, a very wide zone there, so about 25 metres wide. You can see high-grade PGEs as well as, in some cases, quite high-grade copper and gold as well. This is very much a new development. You can see open arrows again everywhere across the page. That eastern contact is several wide space intersections at the moment. As I said, over about 1.2 kilometres of strike length. We've got more infill drilling to do to wireframe anything in that area, but a significant amount of mineralisation in that position. I also should mention we haven't really done any other PGE assaying in that new style of mineralisation. So this more chalcopyrite dominant G4 or eastern contact mineralisation, we don't know too much yet about the other PGE. So there's 4 others outside of palladium and platinum. So the eastern contact target, as I mentioned, this is looking in a bit of a cross section. You can see on the left-hand side there, that's our discovery zone G1. You can see those two are the palladium nickel dominant mineralisation styles, quite wide zones. You'll note the scale bar on the right-hand side there. And then some 250 metres to the east, you've got this new eastern contact zone developing there, as I said, on the margin of the intrusion. And we think those we can string together at least 1.2 kilometres of strike length of that new target horizon. One of the most exciting things we're doing at the moment beyond that is we're testing this we're doing an initial drill test of this deeper EM conductor X. And the first hole we're drilling into that deep conductor is about 800 metres beyond the high-grade wireframe. So we're not mucking around, we're going straight to depth. And we have actually intersected the intrusion already at 430 metres, as well as mineralisation there at about 630 metres. So that hole is still in progress and very exciting development. As you can see, there's a very large conductor there, and you can see the plunge orientation starting to develop there with the red and that orange G4 zone there plunging to the north. We're obviously very excited to monitor that hole. This has captured the speculators' interest recently. We flew an airborne EM survey over the whole Julimar intrusive complex just recently. On the left-hand side, you're looking at a plan view of the magnetics over that complex. As I said, about 26 kilometres from one end to the other. Everything I've been showing you is just that small little blob on the southern end there at the Gonville intrusion. Nothing has been drilled yet to the north at all. On the right-hand side there, you can see the limits of the Julimar State Forest. The vast majority of the complex lies within that state forest. We do not have access as yet, but as you can see from an EM image on the right-hand side of the page there, is a fairly compelling, fairly large new target called Hartog, which is really capturing people's imagination at the moment. Then there's 2 other more subtle EM anomalies there, located about 10 and 18 kilometres away from Gonville. So as you can see, this has the potential to be a true new district. Arguably, we've already made a world-class discovery on the southern end of this district. You can see the amount of growth potential here. This really has something special that's yet to come. The platinum group elements, for those who are not familiar, these are very critical metals. The vast majority of PGEs are used in catalytic converters. Palladium-based catalytic converters are all the rage at the moment with ever-increasing emissions standards. That has put the palladium market in significant stress with a deficit now ongoing for the last 9 years. And the price did hit $2,850 US an ounce in February. It's currently trading about $2,400 US an ounce, so at a nice premium to gold. And that's what's particularly significant about this discovery. It's one of the few new palladium discoveries worldwide in the last sort of 10 years. And certainly don't assume that catalytic converters are the only application for PGEs. Future demand is really underpinned by hydrogen fuel cells. So as we adopt their hydrogen economy, that's where the next stage of growth comes from these metals. We're in an accelerated drilling and MET test work program, as I said. We've got about 70,000 metres worth of drilling to do to get to a measured and indicated resource by the middle of next year. As I said, we're going to do metallurgical test work concurrently to that. So I mentioned the Julimar discovery. Obviously, it's a significant new discovery for Western Australia and Australia. We've got 2 rigs drilling in Victoria, as I mentioned, and we've got a maiden program underway in Hawkestone. we have a track record of being able to deliver for shareholders, and that's what we'll continue to do. So I thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much, Alex, and certainly an exciting time for you guys. I had a question come in very early, obviously keen to ask it. It looks like it's from a very happy shareholder, Annie and the Bell family portfolio, who bought last year at 18 cents, they told me. So they're keen on finding out, are there any signs of rhodium at Julimar? And you sort of touched on it there a couple of slides ago.
Yeah, that's a good question. In the G1 zone, we have fairly low grade, of the other PGs, the other 4, including rhodium. We haven't yet got any assays back for this new style of mineralisation now developing at the G4 or the contact position of the intrusion. So we're yet to really fully understand the potential for the other 4.
Okay, and then they've also asked just about the Thor JV with Venture, and any comments on that?
Yeah, we've got a JV with Venture Minerals down in the southwest, so we've got an interesting look-alike target down there, which we'll begin to do some work on later this year.
Great. All right, congratulations. Thank you.